Hey guys, Lancer here. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks again for joining me. We'll look into some MTG market news and also look at some spoilers. I'm hoping that my audio setup is better. My video recording, I guess, should be the same. I'm working on my laptop now instead of my desktop, which was really old, and I think the voice was getting out of sync. Anyways, let's get straight to it. So the first card is Elvish Piper. Now this card has been moving up for a while now, since pretty much middle of last year to actually January 20th, it was flatlining, but then middle of last year, July, it started moving up and it's still moving up right now. You can find some pretty good value for this kind of card for $5 on TCG. Really does depend on what your deck's trying to do. But as bigger and bigger creatures come up, more elf support comes out, these kinds of cards are going to get better unless they get reprinted. Dragon's Rage is a new card from Modern Horizons, so skip right past that. So I'm picking this as the top 10 that have been moving today, but we will look at the rest of the market anyways. So Winter's Blast has been moving up pretty much just as much as most old school cards. It is from Legends. It's not on the reserve list. It's costing a lot more than you would expect for a pretty simple spell. Tap X target creatures, Winter's Blast deals 2 damage to each of those creatures with flying. So it's a sorcery speed. You can kind of swing in with this, deal some damage, destroy some creatures that have flying. It's kind of Green's thing, but it's just, it's an expensive card. Another one from Arabian Nights, Rook Egg. Now this one has been all over the place as well. The last couple of days it's been kind of spiking, and I'm not too sure if that's just manipulation. I'm pretty sure there's nothing special about this card. It's not on the reserve list. Flying Carpet from Arabian Night. I was about to say Aladdin, but pretty much another one of those cards that not on the reserve list. There was a point in 2013 that this card was $1.60, but at the highs of this year, it average market price reached $130. Pretty crazy. Arabian Nights, Aladdin's Lamp from Arabian's Night. I wonder if there was some new Aladdin's movie that just came out. I know there's an old, Will Smith one, but not too sure. America Rebirth. Now, this one is the alternative version. I actually think that it's the Time Spiral remastered frame that's picking up in value. There's an Ice Age one as well for a reprint. Continuing on to Mortal Kombat from 10th edition. Now this is pretty cool actually, and I know there's a Mortal Kombat movie that came out, but this has been moving up pretty consistently over the last couple of years. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you recently, let me read this again because I'm obviously blind. At the beginning of your upkeep, if 20 or more creature cards are in your graveyard, you win the game. Actually, there's quite a bit of support from this from the new sets as well. So this is actually a pretty cool win con. Just might be a bit weird if you're just playing a Muldrotha Dredge deck and just chucking him to the graveyard. Chromium from Legends, yeah, pretty cool card, not on the reserve list. There is a far cheaper version from Chronicles you can get. Jandor's Ring from Arabian Night, $56, but there are some less than $1 cards that you can get for this one. It's not exactly the best. Now, before I move on to the reserve list cards, I am going to go straight over to the market movers from MTG Goldfish and talk about what has been happening for the last week. How long was I out for? A week and a bit. So we'll cover some simple ones. Now, I myself have my eyes open for certain cards, like Fiery Emancipation and Doubling Season from Modern, I guess. But, these are all commander cards. I'm looking for commander cards. Now, Mangara the Diplomat is a good card, but I know that it's moving up. It is strange to see Feasting Troll King, but I think this card is actually insanely good. In fact, anything that creates food tokens has gotten so much better since Modern Horizons 2 has been released. It's pretty crazy, but just kind of what happened, especially with the doubling of the tokens and artifacts that allow you to make more than one token, and treasure tokens and clue tokens whenever you create a food token or whatever. It's pretty crazy how they've managed to get that out. So now all of a sudden food tokens are really good because they bring out clues and food if you have clues and treasure if you have the right cards out. But then again, so is treasure token creation. So it all works really well together. So let's have a look. So Troll King is up there. Brazen Borer, obviously, I think that's mostly coming from modern now because he's about there, has rotated or is about to rotate out of standard. Scuttle Swarm, one of the most annoying cards ever. 16% jump for Shimmer Dragon, but that's a pretty good artifact card. More Horizons 2 is pumping out quite a few decent artifacts for Commander and other formats, I guess, but mostly for Commander. So the biggest drops, once again, nothing too crazy. Croxer is the largest one, dropping down by 7% this week. And nothing I'd want to talk about that actually moved up today for standard. So let's move straight into Pioneer. So some of the big ones, ignoring Modern Horizons 2 because their prices can be pretty unpredictable. Let's go straight into the weekly change. So Modern Horizons, yep. Vengevine moving up mostly because Modern is available now. It's a pretty good card. There are a lot of new decks that are probably trying this kind of card. Arcbound Ravager didn't get reprinted in Modern Horizons 2, but because it has modular and an artifact, this thing is getting a huge jump. I actually have a foil version of him with the new art, and I wonder what the price that is. Oh wait, it's this one right here. So I have a foil version of that one. I wonder what that is worth now. Lord of Atlantis, pretty good card. Old school, a lot of people remember it. Greater Oromoncy, pretty cool card. Force of Negation still moving up. Snapcaster Mage obviously still moving up. Ren 6 and Uruk Champion, pretty consistent of what you'd expect after Modern Horizons 2 spoilers. The biggest drops are obviously going to be the enemy dual lands because they've all been reprinted. So Misty Rainforest, Golden Tarn, they're all dropping. There are some silly expensive cards like Ignoble Hierarch, and I mean that's Cabal Coffers, but they're all dropping down in price quite rapidly. And I would actually say picking up some of these at the very low point of Modern Horizons 2, which usually is in about 2 to 3 months after the set's been completely released, as long as there's not any weird stuff happening with packages. I think it's actually a good time to pick up at least some or one of each of these kinds of cards. Also, Chatterfang Squirrel General being $40. Come on, really? It's cool. It's really cool, but $40? Nah. But other than that, nothing too crazy. So let's have a look at what this guy is. Can I get him in foil? He spiked up to $49. God, I'm bad at this. The foil one for Modern Masters. Modern Masters foil. I guess it's just $40. Would have thought it would have been a bit more, but no, all good. And going on to Pioneer, just to see what has been going on there. Pitiless Plunderer. Yeah, this guy needs a reprint. I got 2 of them in Portuguese because they just didn't have any English copies, and I paid like $3 for them or $2 for them. And the English copies were twice as expensive, $6 or something, and I couldn't even find them. So pretty impressive that a card that's just started off as an uncommon is now almost $12. But that's kind of just based on how useful he is in Commander. Nothing too crazy going on. There's a lot of clue token generators that are coming out. And that's about it. Okay, so that's it for that one. So let's just have a look at what's happening with the revised edition dual lands. I will just admit that the last couple of months have been pretty boring for these. They have had a very steady increase as they catch up to their current top market prices. So when these meet, things will get interesting. And currently they are getting closer and closer. For this one, it's mostly parallel, but they are getting closer and closer, and we'll see what happens in a short amount of time. Now, I want to see what the MTG spoilers for Modern Horizons 2 is, and see if there's anything really cool. So there are some really good ones. There was one artifact that I'm not too sure if it is spoiled. Yeah, here it is. Esper Sentinel. This guy looks insane, and I'm really looking forward to playing with him because it's a card draw engine in white that allows you to go white weenie and still get the benefit from a very early stage. You could get 4 of these onto play, put a +1/+1 counter on each one of them, or he's a human. So like this is probably one of the best 1 drops, along with the 1 drop that gets +1/+1 counters, and then a 2 drop that gets +1/+1 counters and gives +1/+1 counters to all the creatures that you already have. It's just a great card. As long as if you're playing a human deck and it's mono white or red white, you pretty much have to have this card in there. I guess in that case it's actually bad, but yeah, it might be one of the more expensive cards in this set for a rare by the end of this. Outside of that, I just want to have a quick look at Forgotten Realms. I know I'm going through this pretty fast, but it's mostly because the last couple of weeks, other than the spoilers, which I have covered, but the interest isn't very high for the spoilers, it just looks like there's not much really happening. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I know that I'm pretty random when I put out these videos. Hopefully you guys still enjoy it. And I'll get back to you guys soon in the near future. So yeah.